if you can start by the movement ayahuasca is, and then your 2 words.
For me, I've got three:
Perfect.
fear, guilt, it's four, and letting go. Yeah.
And this is your first movement ayahuasca experience?
I did, yes, so I did emotion in muscle workshop, I think 8 months ago, was it? Uh, yeah,
And why did you do that one?
it jumped on movement ayahuasca or emotion in
Well,
muscle.
why did you do the seminar in the first place?
I kind of like started, so the coach I was with at the time was kind of like coming from this approach, and we experimented all sorts of stuff. Um, and I wanted to learn more, and my shoulder was bugging me. And whatever I did, it just kind of like it stayed the same. And I tried all sorts of things, kind of like, I knew exactly what I need to engage, but kind of like, nothing changed. Um, and you guys, you and Rich, did the workshop in the UK, so it was kind of like easy. And I did an assessment with Richard the day before as well. And listen, all of a sudden, kind of like stuff clicked for that moment, for that weekend. Um, and and then I went kind of like back home, kind of like with everything we did in the assessment and the workshop, and I tried to apply everything, but it didn't click again. And it was very clear to me. So, having said that, something opened that kind of like I can't put words into what exactly. You know how it is. You make a step towards a certain direction, and something changes. Um, but it's scary because it feels kind of like a cracked Pandora box that that's because that anyway that stuff kind of like sitting there. You feel the kind of for me. I felt that. Um, and I tried to do that on my own, and nothing was really changing. Quite the contrary, it got worse and worse and worse, up until the point that it was a serious injury, kind of like in a workout, where the biceps just popped, and I had surgery. But after the surgery, because nothing really changed, right? Kind of like they fixed everything, they reattached everything. But after the surgery, I started to develop kind of like 50% range of motion. I think I sent Richard, and you've probably seen it as well, the videos. Um, Something that you can describe as frozen shoulder. Um, and I think it was Christmas, and I can't even remember what happened. I can't remember if I've seen you kind of like one of you guys, the post you put up, or or it was kind of like always kind of like here. Um, and I said kind of like I'm kind of like jumping and trying this out.
And was the focus mainly knowing there was a physical problem of the shoulder?
I think that was the starting point. No, I think it's easier to say that. No, it was I knew that was like what I need to deal with is not the right term because deal with is something so negative, and it's not necessarily negative. It's like I knew that the stuff unsolved stuff that I want to put to open this Pandora box essentially, and kind of like with how much kind of like fear and I was scared about it. I think I was ready. You kind of like you walk a certain path and you come to this stuff ready, or you don't, which is fine as well. But kind of like
Was there were there any barriers to signing up for the Movement Ayahuasca retreat or apprehensions and specific things that made you delay signing up? Or, and if there were, what would your advice be for people who have similar barriers or apprehensions? If not, just going 30.
It's not signing up, it's being here on the first day, actually. It's resisting because change is hard and it's scary. And I remember here on the first day, like what all of you guys kind of like, I feel like you're on this path longer than I am. And first of all, I was kind of like, what am I doing here? And second of all, it's I don't know. For me, I know my insides to some extent, yeah. Um, and I kind of knew what I had to deal with, and at least part of it was going to come up, and it's scary because it's easier to stay with kind of like the devil, you know. So you create all sorts of coping mechanism of resistance, and being here, and it's kind of like, what am I doing here? This is not for me. This is obviously for people who are kind of like way into this rabbit hole, and yeah. And okay, I'm just gonna, enjoy 3 days, gorgeous place, and go home and can,
And did you feel that shift each day or each workout or experience?
it surprises you every time. It's like, it always catches you off guard. The Swami and the Gauntlet, it's kind of like, it shakes you a little bit every time. You kind of like, I don't know, you don't my whole life I've been kind of like pushing my emotions aside, yeah? We were talking about this yesterday. I took pride in being kind of like emotional detached. This is what I do, therefore I can kind of bring it on, throw anything on me. I can take it because I can take it, because I can put this aside and kind of like shove it in a box, and so it surprised me every time, first of all, how emotional it was, the Swami. It surprised me on the assessment back it was before Christmas, and later in the workshop. It surprised me how, with a group of strangers, I can feel safe to express that way. The tears surprised me in the conference. I mean, anger and frustration I can understand in this workshop, in this workout. But tears of I don't know, it wasn't sadness. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
And though, for me, that in your response, reaction, being, there was a definite shift in the first Swami. Can you talk a bit about that, the experience, and what happened? I think
It sounds kind of like all this, hippie spiritual stuff. Oh, shit, I need to speak about kind of like the background now, right?
you can talk about as much or as little. That
I'll start from the end. I think the problem with guilt is that you don't want to let go. Because if you let go, that means you're letting go of the people that you feel responsible for, and that you feel that you failed. And if you let go, it means that you failed them twice. And that you don't care anymore, and you carry this guilt, because this guilt represents kind of like, I've got to carry this. So about 20 years ago, I've been in military, and I sent this task force out, and they all blew up physically, kind of like there was an explosion, and they blew up, and and I couldn't save him. I couldn't get there to help. And I was on the other side with the voices and with the shouts and with the shouts withering and with, at the end of the day, kids calling for the mum. Because I suppose when you kind of like you're there, all you want is comfort. And I couldn't do anything but to tell them that they're not alone, that I'm with them on the other side. See, I feel it here. And I think that for many years, I know that for the first 10 years after, I was like, I pushed it. So the first week I had kind of like proper nightmares. And for about 10 years after, I pushed it so down, it was fine. And then the kind of like there was the conflict and something triggered it. And it was kind of like nightmares and sounds and smells and everything. PTSD again. And all those years, it's... Listen, first of all, it's survival guilt. Like, I got to live. So first of all, I've got to live to the fullest. I can't ever give myself any slack. I can't, because I need to live for them, and everything I do is like they're right next to me. It's like everything you do. There's this game. It's like X will never do. It's like we'll never have a fag after sex. We'll never have this drink. We'll never bungee jump. And so everything you do, you're not alone. You're kind of like you carry your ghosts with you. And it's a heavy weight. And you've got to be extremely strong because it's a heavy weight, and you can't feel. Because if you feel that moment, which is where you're helpless and you're completely out of control. And there's no air, literally. And I think I experienced that actually in this weekend a couple of times on the Swami, where all of a sudden kind of like the whole body kind of like tense and there was no air. And on the last one, it's gonna sound so kind of like spiritual hippie. I've seen them in the sky. It's like, first of all, in the walk, sorry, I'm jumping, in the walk before in the morning that we carried the weight, and I was thinking it's going to be extremely hard. And it wasn't. It was fine. And it kind of like hit me that I don't have to choose the hard path all the time. And it's fine.
You said it.
And being weak sometimes is fine as well. Nothing can happen. The world's not gonna crumble. It's just weakness. Because it is what it is. And on the last Swami yesterday, I think you guys said to open the eyes after kind of like engaging. I don't know, maybe it brings you back to reality. You're not in this bubble of your head or your emotions or whatever, your being, yeah? And kind of like at some point I opened my eyes and there was kind of like sensation, I don't know, of it's okay. That kind of like, that's what I heard in my head. It's okay. And then it was incredible because the terrorists and the packs kind of like whoosh, kind of like tense so hard, um, in a good way. And I started laughing, kind of like I couldn't, like, I was cracking, I was laughing so hard. And then it's like they were in the sky in the clouds. It's like, it's not like in the movies where you see their faces and like, but they were there. And in a way they were saying it's okay. And kind of like, we forgive you. Or I kind of like says, I think the first chat I had with you is like I said, I need to forgive myself. And that kind of like, it's okay. It's okay. And you can let go and you can move on. And this is not leaving us behind. But it's okay. It's like, it's okay. And see, I feel it here as well. And then I got it. It's the heart, isn't it? It kind of like it brings it. And it doesn't have to be hard all the time. It can just be. And I can't change the past. And they're always going to be part of me. But it's okay. It's like I'm not forgetting them or failing them again when I let them go. I let myself go. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Do you you still it down as spiritual and for people who might think the same, looking from the outside, how would you, and maybe people suffering from the same thing, how would you suggest they dip their toe or begin to understand or think about coming to movement ayahuasca retreat? If you could.
I think so many years we separate the body from the mind. I mean, I listen, modern philosophy, yeah? And mind, and kind of like mind over body, and so on. But it's your body shouting at you. And it's kind of, all what we need to do is kind of like tune to the right frequency. I don't know, we don't have to live with pain. Or we can listen to the pain and try to understand what it means. Or trust ourselves that it's fine, kind of like jumping off the bridge and see. That sounds really bad now, jumping off the bridge, normally death then. But kind of like take the leap. Take the leap is better. Take the leap and try new things, because obviously everything that they've done so far, if they reach the point where, you know, the pain or the lack of pain is so extreme, because the lack of pain is like extreme pain, I think. You're supposed to feel pain. That's the body kind of like guiding you, right? So whatever they did so far didn't help. And I've did this like for so many years, like with the happy pills, with everything, all sorts of drugs, you know, prescribed and unprescribed. It brings you to the same point. So maybe try something else, something new.
And outside of the work within the movement, what would you highlight either place, the people, that side of things?
How do you mean?
Anything in particular about the experience that doesn't relate to the movement or the work that you had to do down there or in the house?
Listen, first of all, it's incredible here. I mean, absolutely stunning. And it's a group of people. It's not obvious to find yourself with a group of strangers that just click. Yeah? Or just, trust one another. Trust is not obvious. Maybe when you come this kind of like you're willing to trust more. Um, it was just, it was easy in a good way. Easy has such a bad connotation. Uh, it was easy to share with them as well, and not to be guarded all the time. Saying that now, I don't think I felt that way the first day. Um, even with you guys, kind of like with you and Richard, um, I think kind of like on the chat on the first day, I was very guarded still. Um, I think everyone just here kind of like accepting everyone, kind of like we all come with a burden. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So kind of like you say, this person is kind of like broken like I am, so it's fine. I mean, I was sharing a room with a person I've never met before. Kind of, I would not have done that in any other situation. She's awesome. Yeah, so I think kind of like it's the trust from the get-go maybe, or the willing to trust from the get-go. Yeah.
And outside of saying that you probably have a good really about speaking if you about ones in one. So anything else you want to say to the chat mark? Anything?
Thank you. Honestly. Listen, I told the other guys when you were in the hunt for calamari, if anyone would have told me a week ago, or even a few months ago, kind of like even after the workshop, that this gonna happen and this is how I'm gonna feel at the end of this weekend, I would say, oh, charlatans. Kind of like this is utterly bullshit, and people in pain would pay anything for anything, kind of like to take the pain away. I mean, I've been there. This is something different. It's like it's because it's about me. It's it's not about you. You are kind of like, I think that's part of a process as well. I think in the gauntlet I got that it doesn't matter kind of like what you think of how I what it doesn't matter. It's about me for me and me confronting me. And that's fucking hard and but incredible at the same time. I mean, how many people do that in their lifetime? Kind of like actually meeting themselves. Couldn't ask for more.
Here. One last thing. What range did you have in your shoulder when it was at its worst?
I think here and here, maybe.
Where is it now?
Here.
Anything?
It was clicking, but listen, before the weekend, I think it was here. No pain. It's tight still. Listen, there's work to do. Here, I can feel it here. I think and you can see the trap, see it rising. I think at the beginning of the kind of like before the weekend, it was probably here when it was tight. I don't like it. Listen, it's not just the weekend. There's work to be done.
Do you feel like you have a plan? Wait. And you're going to be just about
I think that the real challenge starts now, actually. Because it's so easy. Just even if you don't want to, kind of like slowly fall into old patterns. I think I'm gonna rise with the sun every day, because it's a different beginning, and it's incredible, isn't it? Like today, we didn't have to do that. right? It wasn't part of it. There was no schedule today, and we didn't have to go for a walk. And it was just, so I think this will kind of like link me, hopefully, to this feeling that I feel now. So when, life and family and work and and old patterns gonna come knocking on my door, I hope that this would remind me that it's really worth it. Kind of like that. It's hard work, yeah. And it's so much easier to resist it. Yeah.